The Thomas More Lecture on Faith and Work in Civic Life honors a graduate of Holy Cross who exemplifies the college's dedication to the integration of faith and learning. Maria Eugenia Ferré Rangel is an ideal candidate for that, a woman who has achieved personal and professional success with integrity, honesty, and commitment to helping others. Maria Eugenia is president of El Nuevo Dia, Puerto Rico's largest daily newspaper and the 35th largest newspaper in America. In a struggling industry, this newspaper and the media that she's built around it have innovated and grown. It's introduced very progressive programs to engage and empower citizens of Puerto Rico to make positive changes across the island. I'll let Maria Eugenia explain that. While here at Holy Cross, Maria Eugenia carried a double major in Spanish and political science. After graduation in 1989, she earned a master's in mass communications from Boston University. And in 2001, she and her sister Lauren Ferré Rangel of the class of '92 received the college's prestigious Sancte Cruces Awards. In 2010, she was named a Holy Cross trustee. So please join me in welcoming Maria Eugenia Ferré Rangel.
Good evening to all, or as we say at home, buenas noches a todos. I want to thank Professor Tom Landy for the honor of inviting me to be part of the Thomas More Lecture Series. I want to thank Father Michael McFarland, President of the Holy Cross, for this honor also. I want to thank the trustees of the College of the Holy Cross, the professors, especially Mrs. Professora Borland and Professora Levine, who were my teachers and my professors while I was here. It's very good to see both of you again. And I thank especially all the students that are here with us tonight. I know it's difficult to take time off, so I appreciate your presence. I want to thank my husband, Miguel, for traveling all the way from Puerto Rico to be here with me. And I'll excuse my sister Lauren, who was supposed to be here tonight also. But as some of the Puerto Ricans who are here know, we have a storm coming on Saturday to the island, so she got stuck in the island, so can't be with me tonight. Holy Cross is a unique place to grow, learn, and serve, and I hope you make the best of your time here and of the people you meet, because the experiences, the knowledge, and the friendships forged here will continue with you all your life. Your commitment to be here and to graduate with the kind of holistic preparation that Holy Cross offers, both in spiritual as well as in educational matters, will serve to make the communities in which you live a little bit better. For that, I want to thank you and urge you to continue on a lifelong quest of improving the life of those around you, of continually not thinking about the I or the me, but always of the us and the greater good. Holy Cross shaped who I am from the very beginning. From the moment I entered Mount St. James, I understood and felt the responsibility that comes with great opportunity. You and I are one of the fortunates to have the privilege of having been taught about the Jesuit philosophy and our responsibility for that greater good. I do have to admit, secretly though, that almost as all of you won't understand this today. And I didn't while I was here. But much later in life, as I faced much difficult choices, I went back to my learnings here and to my faith. And I was able to face them with a deep commitment that I was doing the right thing for the greater good. I would like to take a few minutes first to talk about the college, its mission, and its own responsibility to the community it serves. Our mission states, and I quote, Holy Cross seeks to build a community marked by freedom, mutual respect, and civility. Very important words if we see what the college is an integral part of the Worcester community, and it is our responsibility to keep those words. Our mission continues to say, and I quote, since 1834, Holy Cross sought to educate students who, as leaders in business, professional, and civic life, would live by the highest intellectual and ethical standards. Once you leave this beautiful hill, this is the legacy you will be given to continue through your life. And a final quote from our mission. Shared responsibility for the life and governance of the college should lead its members to make the best of their own talent, to work together, to be sensitive to one another, to serve others, and to seek justice within and beyond the Holy Cross community. If we listen carefully to these words and understand, we will understand the great responsibility the college has, not only in forming young minds, but also as an institution, having the same values we want our society to have. Therefore, I am doubly honored to have graduated from Holy Cross and now to have the opportunity to serve the college and its mission through the Board of Trustees. I hope that what I will share with you tonight serves in a small way to help you make most of your time here, as well as to enrich your perspective on how to choose and how you choose to live your life. You have heard my introduction, yet I think it is important for this lecture to define myself to you. I am a woman, an alumni, who graduated in 1989. 22 years ago, I am separated from you by nearly one generation, if one counts 25 years as a generation. In fact, most of you had not been conceived while I graduated. I am president of the largest newspaper in Puerto Rico, but I'm a wife also. I am happily married for the last 16 years to Miguel, who's a dentist and has a successful practice in Puerto Rico. I am a mother also of 2 children that each day challenge me to be a better person. My eldest son, Miguel Antonio, getting to a terrible teenage years, is 14 now, while my youngest is Eugenia, who's 10. I am a woman of faith that deeply believes in the service of others. I am a Hispanic, so I belong to the largest minority in the U.S., and yet one that is extremely diverse. And I am the 4th of 5 siblings of the Ferré Rangel family, and I will tell you more about them later. My family has deeply marked my outlook on life, my commitment to service, a commitment which was strengthened while I was here at Holy Cross. I tell you all this on how I define myself because it is important to understand that all of us have many facets in our lives, and we need to first recognize each and every one of them in ourselves as well as in others. You cannot define someone by one thing alone because you will fall short of understanding who they are and where they're going. The second thing is that you need to learn how to balance all those facets in your life. I cannot come to speak to you as the president of the largest newspaper in Puerto Rico, or the largest Hispanic paper in the U.S., or one of the top 35 papers in the U.S. in terms of circulation, without talking to you about other parts of my life. As a Holy Cross alumni, my work-life balance is defined not only by the business acumen that I gain here and elsewhere, but goes hand in hand with my service to others, as a sibling, as a daughter, as a wife, as a mother, as a member of my community. I have learned that my happiness and my sense of fulfillment can only be measured by the happiness of those that are around me. You might think of me as naive, but since I was little, and remember, I'm the 4th of 5 children, I was only truly happy when the whole family was happy. That's why many times I ceded what it seemed my own opinion, or in other cases, my own leadership. But in doing so, the happiness of the whole was so much better than my own individual happiness. Because if you are alone, you cannot be truly happy. As I prepared this lecture, I listened to some of the previous speakers, and I was struck by one theme that kept repeating itself through most of them, one in which Chief Justice John Broderick brought up so well in 2009 lecture. And we're here now, and I quote, because we're standing on somebody else's shoulder. I certainly have reached this point in my life and in my career by standing on many, many shoulders, including those of Thomas More, who clearly combined his role as a man of deep faith, his service in government, while contributing to philosophy and theology in his writings. One of the key thoughts of Thomas More's writing was that we all have a duty to work for the greater of the community. I would add that that duty is present in each path that we choose, whether it's public service, whether it's a religious service, or whether it's the business world. Thomas More died for his beliefs. He could have easily wiggled out of his way from a death sentence and continue to serve. Yet he chose to stand for his integrity, and his decision should serve us today as a moral compass to follow. I have stood on many shoulders of many other people, teachers, professors, especially co-workers at Nuevo Dia, who have taught me so much. I have particularly stood on giant shoulders of the past and present generations of my family. It is not I who comes to speak to you here tonight. I am a compilation of those who have come before me. It is not about me. It is about us. So, you might ask, why listen to me? If you delve a little bit into my background, I guess you would come up with some kind of primer as to how to survive the hard times with some degree of success. I would venture to say, in the view of the uncertainty in the prevalent economic situation, the primer I have to offer can be somewhat timely. As we all know, the U.S. needs to tame the ballooning effect of its deficit without sending the economy back into recession. While the Eurozone is facing very hard economic choices, we have led to unrest in countries such as Great Britain, Greece, and Spain. So the immediate prospect for much of the world is not very bright. And as you all know, I come from Puerto Rico, the smallest of the greatest Antilles, a Caribbean island of 3.7 million people, similar size of Long Island. Columbus landed in our shores more than 400 years ago. We were a colony of Spain. In 1898, the Spanish and American War erupted, and Spain ceded us to the U.S. as a bounty of war. Since 1917, we are U.S. citizens, and we are an island of great beauty and opportunity. Yet, for the past 6 years, Puerto Rico has been in a deep recession. Our economy has shrunk more than 12%. During the past decade, our population has decreased 200,000 as people have left the island looking for better economic conditions. To top all of this off, the newspaper industry has been going through a painful restructuring phase, due principally because of the changes that have taken place in the way people look at the news. How many of you read a newspaper today? And don't be shy if you don't. Okay, how many of you look at it in print? Okay, how many have iPads? iPhones? Blackberries? Okay, so you get an idea of how difficult our job is today. The internet and the smartphones have changed the way we do our business. As many of you know, many newspapers have been forced to close, and even the strongest papers in the U.S. have been shaken, forcing job cuts throughout the industry. So you have it. The business I represent has been able to weather those changes and grow in a very hostile environment. But in order to understand how we have been able to do it, you also need to understand my family, the values and the models they instilled in me and in my siblings that I coupled with the learnings at Holy Cross. My relevant family history starts with my great-grandfather, Antonio Ferré Rangel, born and raised in Cuba. His father was a French engineer who had worked in construction in the Panama Canal. As a young man, my great-grandfather, or Papa Toño, as we called him, was increasingly sympathetic to the Cuban independence. Fearing for his life, his aunts sent him to Ponce, on the south part of our island, in 1896, to live and work with his uncle. Puerto Rico was a primarily agricultural island at that point, and very, very poor. 2 years after his arrival, the Spanish-American War broke, and the U.S. won. Papa Toño was able to weather those changes and founded one of the first Puerto Rican industry, the Puerto Rico Iron Works, which provided parts and machinery to the sugar industry and in its heyday. Through this, and through his innovation, Papa Toño helped Puerto Rico prosper. My grandfather, Luisa Ferré, was born in 1904. My great-grandparents instilled in their 6 children the sense of duty to serve the community, a passion for excellence, and a love for the arts and education. My grandfather graduated from MIT as an engineer and went to study to the New England Conservatory of Music. Throughout his life, he was a model citizen, a very successful entrepreneur, and he also went to become a public servant. He founded the New Progressive Party in 1967. He was elected governor of Puerto Rico and later president of the Senate. Through his life, he was a philanthropist. He founded the Ponce Museum of Art, which is known for being one of the most important in the Caribbean and the only one accredited by the American Association of Museums. The museum has a permanent collection of 4,500 works of art, including a new monumental sculpture by Roy Lichtenstein, donated by his widow. It is known around the world for having the third most important collection of pre-Raphaelite paintings and has a rich collection of 19th century, with particular renowned strength in Baroque and Victorian eras of work. In life, he was honored with the Presidential Medal of Freedom by former President George H. Bush, And in spite of all his achievement, my grandfather is best known for his service and his philanthropy than for his successful businesses. As a social reformist, he started out very early. In 1928, only 3 years after completing his master's degree, he returned to Puerto Rico. He founded the first workers' cooperative in the island, in the Puerto Rico Iron Works. As a governor, he defended the workers' right to federal minimum wage, a policy that was virulently opposed by the private sector at the time. During his governorship, he instituted by law that companies in financial health would have to offer a Christmas bonus to their employees. And as a visionary always, he created the Environmental Quality Board in Puerto Rico before it was created in the U.S. As an entrepreneur, one of his early business leaders who helped Puerto Rico transform from an agrarian society to a manufacturing society. His company, the Puerto Rican Cement, helped the island modernize quickly. Interestingly enough, one of his sisters, known to the world as Sister Eugenia Ferré and to us Titi Iso, also left a deep impression on our siblings and myself. Titi is an endearment term we use in Puerto Rico to name an aunt. In spite of coming from a very wealthy family, Titi Iso decided to become a nun at age 21 and entered the novice of the Congregation of the Missionary Servants of the Most Blessed Trinity. She dedicated her life to the poor. She first served in New York under the Governor Major John Lindsay to the Committee Against Poverty. In Puerto Rico, she returned to retire, and at that time, she founded Los Centros Orizolina Ferré. These centers are located in underprivileged communities, and they work to empower the citizens through education to become agents of their own transformation. For her efforts, she was also awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by former President Bill Clinton. Vito and Titi Iso are no longer with us, but their legacy lives on. Their deep commitment to the well-being of others contributed greatly to Puerto Rico and gave them full lives. My grandfather died in 2003, short only 3 months of his 100th birthday. And my Titi Iso died at age 86 in 2000. My father and my mother continue the tradition of installing in us the values of serving the community from both the business sector and social responsibility. My father, like his father before him, became a businessman in love with the arts. In his case, his passion for literature and the printed word. Now retired, he was also a successful businessman, leading the Puerto Rican Cement and transforming an obscure newspaper in Ponce, Puerto Rico, to the island's most innovative paper in San Juan, El Nuevo Dia. My father was also very active as a public servant, serving as a president of the Puerto Rico Educational Board and presiding over the Governor's Advisory Council for the development of public programs. As a private citizen, he was named to the Advisory Economic Council of another governor and was active in the Manufacturing Association and founded the Conservation Trust of Puerto Rico. On the other hand, my mother is a Cuban refugee who left Cuba at age 16 and taught us that even if you lose all your material possessions, no one can take away from you your education and your values. Two things, education and values, will uphold you through life, no matter how difficult things get. So now, it's now to my siblings and I to have the responsibility to carry on. Whenever we feel the present conditions are toxic for any business to succeed in, we look back at our family and how they have successfully grown companies in changing climates and under challenging situations. I also take comfort in my years at Holy Cross. All of you, as I had, a choice when I came to college. However, Holy Cross was the right fit for me. It had a rigorous academic curriculum where I could learn while promoting an active service in the community. From the first moment I came to this beautiful hilly campus, I felt accepted. I felt I was in a community that I could grow, and I did. While I was here, I became a catechist, preparing kids from underprivileged backgrounds to do their first communion. I served as a catechist during my junior and senior year, and it was an amazing experience. I remember the day of the first communion, as I was walking out and to get my car and drive to church. I went to my mailbox, as I always did, and I got my acceptance letter from my master's degree. And I was so excited because I got into the master's program I was looking for. And I drove to church, and my excitement suddenly went away because the beauty of seeing all those kids do their first communion outshadowed anything I was feeling for myself. So again, the greater good served for much happiness than my own personal success. This brings me to here and now. This is my time and our time to contribute to El Nuevo Dia and to Puerto Rico, the community in which we live and work. For our generation, one of our biggest learnings and legacy by our parents and grandparents is the responsibility to return to Puerto Rico and to give back to those who gave us the opportunity to grow. I could have easily stayed in the United States. I actually had more than one job offer before I left before I finished my master. But I had a responsibility, and I had a calling to return to an island and to make it a better place. The same calling, passion, and responsibility is what each of the 5 siblings feel, and is what I would challenge those from Puerto Rico who are here tonight to also feel. I belong to an industry that is under siege, not only by structural changes in its business model due to the evolution of technology, but also due to the economic doldrums which have been present for the past 6 years in Puerto Rico. I venture to say that our industry's reputation is also under attack. The recent Murdoch scandals with the news of the world has cast a long shadow over the media industry, forcing some questions our ethics. Of course, not all of us are the news of the world. Our challenge at Nuevo Dia is very clear. How do we continue to grow under the conditions I just described? How do you add value to people's lives and gain their trust? How do you live up to the basic tenets set forth in Thomas More of carrying out your duty for the common good from the template of a newspaper of the 21st century? It certainly has not been easy, but we had great models to follow. First, we have always run our business from a very prudent credit position. We strongly believe that cash is king, so whenever there is a downturn, you're not overextended. This time around, the severity of the recession was so strong that we had to take very difficult decisions and let people go. Mind you, that we are a union shop. However, we were very clear with our employees, as we've always been, about the situation, and we spread the pain fairly. Everyone who remained at their jobs took pay cuts from top to bottom, including myself and all the members of our family. Then we started to look out for opportunities to diversify in the business-related sectors. We now have the largest distribution company on the island, one of the largest commercial printing shops. We have classifieds online, mobile applications for news and advertising. We have ventured into local mobile discount services. We have published SAL, a dining program, sort of a SAGAT for restaurants in Puerto Rico, and in all the platforms, both in web, print, and mobile. And we have Yes Store, a new catalog business. But most of all, we wanted to transform the paper to fit the needs of our times and of Puerto Rico. We continue with our major mission, which it is to report the news and let the facts, as best as we know them, speak for themselves. We have become very adept of providing content through social media, and as December of last year, El Nuevo Dia ranked number 3 in the U.S. in terms of Facebook followers, just after the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. And since then, our fans have increased by 30%. So not bad for a small island in Puerto Rico. On Twitter, we have about 77 followers. And by the way, our sister paper, Primera Hora, so somebody here knows very well, and his father has done an amazing job with the paper, is as popular as the USA Today, 8 followers in Facebook too. As we embrace these 2 new areas, for us, first, we increasingly want to become a tool for change, and secondly, we have made efforts to provide communities and peoples with mediums through which they can raise their voice and be heard. And it is not the traditional way that newspapers have provided a voice to the community, just by reporting the story. It goes way beyond reporting. Our biggest project is called Agenda Ciudadana, or Citizens' Agenda. It is our most ambitious project. It has been spearheaded by my brother Luis Alberto, who is the paper's editor. We embarked this project in 2007 with a joint venture with the Puerto Rican nonprofit organization called Corporation for the Support of Educational and Community Programs. We took it upon ourselves to initiate the project as we grew extremely concerned with the polarization in Puerto Rico and the evident loss of trust in most institutions. We sense a growing hopelessness in Puerto Rico due to difficult economic conditions that have caused the job losses of 200,000 people. To put this into perspective, 1 in 5 people in Puerto Rico have lost their job in the last 6 years. The first stage of Agenda Ciudadana was to conduct citizen dialogues around the island in 6 areas of actions: economy, education, environment, health, crime, and family. In 2008, election year in Puerto Rico, we had held public discussions comparing each of the political platforms to the proposals made by the citizens. This year, in August, we launched our own website where citizens who cannot attend the forums can do them by web. We're hosting now, because we have elections next year again, 50 new forums all around the island, which will be completed by the end of this year. In the first forum for this year, we received more than 300 proposals from our citizens of that area. Some of them were made in person, others came through Agenda's new website, and still others through social media. Our goal for this project is to continue to empower the citizens to have a greater say in their present and in their future, and to create a medium to effect change while promoting consensus between the people who represents different points of view. We hope Agenda Ciudadana can create the space that is needed to truly affect possible change that can enhance the well-being of our population. In addition to Agenda Ciudadana, we have added new sections to our paper that provide useful content for people facing hard times. All these sections come under one name that is called Un Solo Puerto Rico, or just One Puerto Rico. Under this section, we have an area called Reinventa, which profiles people who have started out new businesses after losing their jobs, or business people that have had to reinvent themselves to make it. We also have a solidarity section which provides articles on remarkable individuals who are helping others. Then there's the dialogue section, which provides a space for different points of view to be heard. And then at the end, the diverse section of Puerto Rico, which speaks to people of different areas, of different norms, of different religions, whether they are from an individual or from a group. We hope that these get people involved in dialogue and in commitment to each other. All of these sections within One Puerto Rico serve to record the history developments that are not part of the daily news and are rushed up in the important testimonials and alternatives that might help our readers have a better life. For example, by having the regular Puerto Rico Solidario section, we hope to convey that helping others should not be seen as an extraordinary action, but as part of our responsibility as citizens. Let's put what we do into perspective. Journalism is really an ancient craft of bringing people together in understanding the world we live in. Like any human endeavor, it has been used many times against the betterment of the human condition. But it is a profession guarded by its own code of ethics and by men and women who want to challenge the way we live and the way we see things, so that collectively we can aspire to work towards a more just and peaceful world. In a path to a more just and peaceful world, we also have incorporated social responsibility projects in El Nuevo Dia. One of them is called El Nuevo Dia Educador. This is one of my favorite projects. It has many components, but its main goal is to contribute to the education of our children. We launched this program 30 years ago to promote the reading of the newspaper in the school. We distribute and sponsor newspaper to participate in schools so that they may be used in the classroom. Today, we reach 86% of all the public schools in the island and have more than 500,000 students reading newspapers every day. We train every year 1,700 teachers on how to use the newspapers in school. Under this program, we also sponsor El Nuevo Dia Awards, which is every year 8 students receive nominations in 8 categories. Those that are nominated by their own schools have to have a grade point average of more than 3.5. However, the most important for these awards is the service component to the presentation. 50% of the nomination must be based on the student's community service. Those nominated need to write an essay and are selected by a panel of independent jurors after being interviewed. Winners are awarded scholarships to study in the U.S. or in Puerto Rico. We strongly believe that these awards highlight the need of students to excel in their subject, but also they need to understand their commitment to serve others. Some of the students we have honored are Andrea Moya, who won the English category in 2004, graduated from NYU in film production, and is today a co-worker at El Nuevo Dia. There is also Abidiel Ortiz, winner of Science Medal 2009, currently a philosophy major in Cornell University. Anushka Ramos, winner of the Spanish Medal in 2007, a graduate of Sacred Heart University in Puerto Rico with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. And Ismael Cruz, winner of the Fine Arts Medal in 2005 and a graduate of NYU with a Bachelor of Arts in Fine Arts. All these students were from public schools of the center of the island, would have never had the opportunity to go to college otherwise. Thanks to this and many other programs, we have grown in our market and we have become an integral part of the lives of the people, regardless of the technology changes that we're facing. And it is through all these changes, I continue to be a wife, a mother, a sister, and a daughter. So other facets of my life also complement what I do. In August, my mother needed to have surgery. So you have to take off your business hat and become a daughter hat. Travel with my mother, spent with her a week on recovery. I should have taken care of me when I was little. Part of our own responsibilities. Each of my siblings have taken care of my mom through this process. At the same time, I take time off from my work whenever my children have school programs or school sports that need to be attended to. I go, cheer, as any mom will do. I'm glad they're not here because they would say I'm embarrassed them. And through all of this, my husband and I make sure that we provide enough time for each other in our busy schedules. We've been married for more than 16 years. It looks like a long time to you now, but it's not really. And yet we're very aware that we cannot take those years for granted if we want to continue our marriage to grow and to stay healthy. So if you want to get some takeaways from this lecture, I have 8. So here they go. Know how to balance your life in order to live it to the fullest. I think for your generation, it is important to understand, as male and female roles continue to evolve, that it is important to make adjustments to be able to have a fuller family life. When you're making decisions through your life, try to have an objective of a win-win mentality. Avoid making decisions that can only benefit you. Make sure you take into account the needs of others in reaching decisions. It would make for a more successful life in your career and in your private life. And it all goes back to the collective good that Thomas More aspired in his life and in his writings. Seek knowledge and seek truth, no matter how hard it is or how much it's going to rock the boat. Embrace learning as a long life pursuit. Practice empathy, and practice empathy every day. Seek excellence and try every day to be better in all you do. But understand that you will make mistakes, but you have to own up to them. You are responsible for those mistakes. Learn from them. Believe me, there is always a learning. And if you don't see that learning, go back and look for it again. You'll find it. Always share the success. It is always the result of more than just one person. Learn from others. You can learn from every human being you encounter. Learning is a never-ending process. It is a journey. It's not a destination. And most importantly, enjoy what you do and be passionate about it. So as you venture into the great big world that will be the rest of your life, always remember that we stand on the shoulders of others and follow the lessons that they've given us. It is never about you or me. It is always about us. It is always about the common good. Tonight, I have had the incredible opportunity to address you, and I've done it with the best that I can offer. A tradition born from the pillars of my family and Holy Cross, and an ongoing desire to evolve in the changing needs of this world. I stand before you with a steadfast commitment to ethical principles that have been passed from generation to generation in my family, while creatively embracing new challenges. I am convinced that we will not be able to walk far if one generation does not extend an experienced hand in solidarity to the following generation. This is why I have come here not to lecture you, but to share my experiences so far so that you can take away from them what you might find useful. In the spirit of my generation, I wish to draw a bridge of hope between the past, the present, and the future, between my experiences and your aspirations and dreams. May we build an indestructible bridge within our democratic society, one which is anchored on the best of our traditions and values, one that elevates us in our daily lives and leads us to a future that is always unpredictable, but generous in opportunity. May it be a bridge that draws on the common hope for a just, more inclusive, loving society that at the end will be a better world, not for you, but for those, more importantly, that will come after us. So remember, it's never about I or me. It is always about us. It is always about the greater good. I will leave you with the words my mother so many times has reminded me that we should lead our lives with. First, God. Second, hope. And third, humbleness. May this word guide your life as it's guided mine. Thank you very much.
Any questions, comments? Over your hand?
You can make them in Spanish. Where are my journalism students here? At reporters. Oh, Father.
You talked about the Murdoch scandal. Do you ever have debates or problems about your sources? Do you ever?
No, we have constant debates about sources and how credible they are and where you get them from. But there are also very ethical processes that we go through in those. But I think one of the things that we've learned through the process of these scandals is how do you train your reporters and your journalists to actually search out those sources. And as leaders of your newsroom, you don't permit even the slightest turnaround on how to get them. So you have to have very strong leaders on those newsrooms to actually get those. But it's after the scandal, everybody has gone back to recheck their own areas and be sure that everybody's following the rules that were set up from the beginning.
Do you have an idea of how many people are following the newspaper in Puerto Rico and in the United States? And I'm saying it for personal experience because I followed the newspaper when I was living there. But now I pay more attention because I'm not there. So I'm sure that now there are more Puerto Ricans in the States than there are. So I was wondering.
We have actually have about more than 4 million Puerto Ricans in the States now. So we have about 2.1 million unique visitors a month to our site, and about 40% of those come from the U.S. So most of them are Puerto Ricans from the U.S. that are following us through the website. And it continues to grow. We see growth on our web numbers of about 40-50% month after month after month after month. So it's pretty amazing because if you look at Puerto Rico, it's a small island, so we couldn't continue to grow just with our own audience locally. So yes, a lot coming from the States. Professor?
How long do you think the newspaper will be favored?
I've been asked that question many times. I think still for a long time. I think they'll become different. They won't be the traditional paper. You need to differentiate by platform. The print product will need to be a lot more contextualized, a lot more analysis, a lot more profound, and then the websites become what's the breaking news, what's the video, what's the audio. So they'll be complemented, and at least that's what we believe. They'll be complemented. Now the news cycle used to break once every 24 hours, when the paper got printed. Now it breaks every second of every hour of every day. You would wait for stories to print them on the front page. Now you break stories on your mobile first. So you break the story on mobile first, then you do the first short story or the first short version on the web, and then you do the longer version of that on the print. So it changed completely in the last 10 years. But I think we'll still have a lot of paper around for a while. I hope so.
Hi, my name is Gabriela. I'm a sophomore. And I just wanted to know, in what way has your experience at Holy Cross empowered you the most?
I think and I'll say because Professor Borland is here. I think it gave me courage. And Professor Borland was saying that I was very, very shy. I'm still very, very shy today. But I think my experience here gave me courage to be the best I could be. Gave me not only that, the tools to do that. And if you take that with the faith and you take that with the responsibility that is given to you, it opens a whole new perspective. I think that from a personal point of view, from an academic point of view, it taught me to think. It's not necessarily how to do a math problem, but it's really how to analyze, how you contextualize, how you bring together all these different arenas, and then from that create an opinion. So I think those two things are, for me, the most important ones, apart from tons of other ones.
Thank you. Building off of that question, what was your favorite class of Holy Cross?
Spanish. I'm a literal. I love literature. I like to read. I love to read. I read everything and anything that I get my hands on. And I think Spanish was very important to keep a ground on me, to maintain something of my own heritage. And I think for me that was very, very important. But I love political science. I would just get up to go to that class even if it was in the winter part at 8 o'clock in the morning. I would still go. So I had great professors on both of them that were great mentors through my 4 years. So if you ask me which one I didn't like, I'll tell you too. But I won't say. Any other questions?
Now that you've mentioned political science, what is your opinion, in the upcoming elections with regards to Puerto Rico maybe becoming a state or remaining a commonwealth? What's your...
It's been for the last 50 years a constant debate, and I'm not editorializing. I'm not necessarily representing what the paper's position might be. I think the status quo for the island is a crutch. It's a crutch not to face the real issues that the island needs to face. I think politicians need to stop talking about the status and really start focusing on the economy of the island, the education of the island, the health system, the crime situation. But it's a lot more fun to go and talk about if we're going to become a state or if we're going to become statehood.
I'd like to add to that the reason I bring it up is, like you said, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans here in the mainland. And, with the whole immigration debate, there's a poor lack of education in the public, especially in the idea that, Puerto Ricans are the only Latinos that are, in fact, U.S. citizens.
That is correct.
So with the whole immigration debate before us, there's a backlash there, that we have to experience here in the mainland. And so that's why I asked the question. What are you doing to educate, those in the mainland, about that particular issue?
Yeah. I think we probably have to do a lot more than what we're doing. We tend to concentrate to educate internally in the island. I think we need to look outside the island. I think probably the web is a good way to go about it in that sense. So I think you've probably touched on something that we had not. So I'll look into that also. And again, I think irrespective if we become a state or not become a state, the next day our problems are still going to be the same. So they still need to get focused on. And I think that's something that we should try to get our politicians to understand too. Any other question? Sorry. See?
As a Puerto Rican female and graduate of the college, I think you and I both recognize it's such a privilege to have been here and have had our 4-year experience at school. How do you feel now as a member of the Board of Trustees to be able to give back to the college? And how has that experience in the past year changed your perspective on Holy Cross? How do you enhance it? What do you think about the college?
Oh, I think, that's a full question. I think, first of all, I was extremely honored to have been chosen to be part of the Board of Trustees. I never, still stuns me. Why me? What do I have to offer? What can I give back? So it's been an amazing experience. The college has, for those who might not know it, one of the most extraordinary boards of trustees that I've seen. It's extremely good, and the people are extremely committed to make this college go forward. And I think that should give all of you a peace of mind. It should give you, reassurance that people that are in that board are really committed. But it's showing me, again, to see the college from a completely different perspective on what is our role to continue to enhance your opportunities and to continue to enhance your programs and to continue to make it stronger, but at the same time to be committed to the communities we're in. And I think Worcester is the community we're here, so the college needs to be committed to that too. So it's been, I've enjoyed it so much, so it's been great. So I thank Father McFarland for that honor. Thank you. And I had a question on the back of Gabriela.
I just wanted to know, you mentioned your faith a little bit, and I just want to know what area of your life do you see most affected by your faith and how, if
Faith is around me. It's around me every day, in everything I do. From how you bring up your children, how you become a better mother every day, how you try to teach values to them, and to how I make business decisions. When I have to make tough choices at the office on decisions that are going to be difficult for other people, that are going to be hurtful in a way. So you go back to that. You go back to that learning and to that sense that you try to see the larger good and you try to see the bigger picture to that. And I not necessarily am as disciplined as I should be to go to church all the time. But I pray every day just for wisdom to continue to do what I do. And I think God has a plan somehow for all of us. And I just hope I'm at least close enough to what He thought I was supposed to do and doing it at least well enough for His doing. Después tú, no, back one with the blue headband. You turn around? Yes, I'm sorry. Sorry.
I'm going to say mine in Spanish.
Go.
Okay. Como una latina, entrando a Holy Cross, hay muchas dificultades identificando tu siendo latina. ¿Cómo, si puedes explicar algunas de tus dificultades entrando aquí y cómo te acomodaste? ¿Y cuáles consejos puede dar a nosotros que somos latinas? Porque es bien diferente, es un mundo totalmente complicado.
Sí. ¿Te contesté en español o en inglés? ¿You want me to do that in English? Okay. The translation. She asked me, as a Latina, how did I manage the entrance into the college and the acceptance into the college and to be part of the college? Because, we are different, and I think that's the beauty of it. And I think in the differences that we all have is where we find the growth of us as people and as individuals. I have to be very honest. I think I was so shy and so naive that I never felt different. I just walked around and talked to everybody, and I did my own thing. In many ways, I tried to understand where people were coming from all the time. So I was very good friends with other Latinos, obviously, but I was very good friends with people from the Worcester area, and I was very good friends with people in the sports area. So I just sort of went around getting along with everybody and not trying to impose my Latina style or to impose my own vision, but actually just to learn from most of them. And I think from what I learned the most, not from my Latino friends. I actually learned the most from my African-American friends that I had in the school. Because from them, I learned a lot more of how to become integrated from their own difficulties than I did from my own. And I was very good friends with some of the basketball players, and so I heard all their stories. But I think you have to be your own person. Be respectful of the rest, also. Don't give up your own, but be respectful of the rest of the group also. They asked me that question the other day, not about being a Latina, but about being a woman in a business community that is mostly male. And I said, well, I don't differentiate between female and male, between men and women. I'm just doing a job. It's irrespective of your gender, really. So I guess I'm a little bit weird on that sense. Hi.
Hello, my name is Diana and I'm a senior. And like many of us who are graduating, we want to go out the community. What is your number one advice to want to go out and regardless of what we're majoring in, we want to go out and help the Latino community grow and keep moving forward. Like you guys award scholarships, but us when we come down and we're here and we're moving on up, how can we help from now the community as we graduate?
Well, just do we live here in the Worcester area?
Yeah, Springfield.
Springfield, okay. I think the best thing is just go into your community and find some of the areas where you could go and do social work. I think for me, and this is a personal experience, education, and if you're here, you have to know this, education will be your key to success, always. That is what will prepare you to become better. So if you can go back and teach, that's social work. If you can go back and help a school, that's social work. And Latinos in particular, but anybody with a better education has a better opportunity for a better life. So I think in that sense, if you go back and help by teaching or by helping a school, for me, it's the most basic of all of them. So, and I see, ya me olvidó.
My name is Carmen, and I was wondering, as a woman CEO and president of a male-dominated industry, have you ever encountered any injustices or circumstances where your authority or you yourself have been questioned because you're a woman?
If I say no, I would lie. Yes. Do you shy away from it? No. Do I have to work very hard? Yes. Do I have to continue to work harder than many other people? Probably yes. But again, I do it because I believe in it. I do it because I have a job to do. It doesn't matter if I'm a woman or if I would be a man. We have a job to do, and it has to get done. So it's a matter of that. But yes, there is prejudice. And yes, when I became president of the newspaper at age 32. I was very young, very young. I was pregnant, 9 months pregnant with my second daughter when I was named president of the paper. So yes, there were a lot of questions, not only because of being a female, but being my father's daughter. Would I have what it takes to run the paper? Would I have had what it takes to transform the organization to what it needed to be? How did I prove it? By working hard and getting surrounded by people that were better than me in all areas. And that was my key to success. It's the people that is around me. Those are the ones that really did the work. You have to choose the right people beside you, and they have to be better than you. Doesn't matter if you're a female or a male. Just surround yourself with the best talent possible. So, but work hard. It'll never come easy. ¿Había otra pregunta? Acá.
Un comentario. I would just like to take this opportunity, I think I speak for all the Puerto Ricans here, to thank you for having taken your time off and come here to talk to us, because I don't know if it was the same in your generation, but for our generation, a lot of people back home have never even heard of Holy Cross. The truth is they make fun of us. They think, oh, are you going to be on? And I think that having somebody as successful as you taking your time off here and to come talk to us just reinforces our decision to having chosen Holy Cross as a school. And I don't know, I just wanted to thank you for being here.
Thank you. I love that. Thanks.